Hello guys, welcome back. Okay, for sending data from this first fragment to the second fragment, we need some additional mechanism. So we need an interface on the first fragment. In Android, it is not possible to send data from first fragment to second fragment directly. So we need to create an interface on the first fragment. Also, I am going to add some specific user view component on the first fragment for sending data from this first fragment to the second fragment. So here is the first fragment. Here I'm going to add a text view. Okay, add a button. Also add a button. So whenever user enters some message on this text view and click this button, then this message is going to the second fragment. So here is the edit text. Change the ID of the edit text as MSG and change the button ID as BN and change the text of the button as send data. Okay, send data. So now we need to specify something on the second fragment layout for receiving this message. So go to the second fragment 2 layout file. So here I'm going to add another text view for receiving that message from the first fragment. Here is the text view. I change the ID of the text view as txt and change the text appearance as text as. Here is the message appear. Okay, here is the message appear. Save it. Now I am going to create an interface on the first fragment. I just create an interface. I name it as send message. I create an interface called the send message and create an abstract method on it. Public void send data with a string argument string message. Okay, now I need to implement this interface on the main activity and also override this abstract method. So go to the main activity and implement that interface implements send message and override that and implement that method. Okay, again go to the first fragment class file. So here we need to check whether the abstract method is actually implemented on the hosted activity or not. So create the on attached fragment lifecycle method called on attached method, and on this method here I'm going to check whether the abstract method on this interface is actually implemented or not. So only after implementing this method we can communicate these fragments together on the same activity. So here I'm going to create an instance of this interface, send message SM. I just create an instance of that interface. So here I'm going to access that interface object. So using this activity object. So SM is equal to activity. And here you need to cast it into send message. Send message. Okay. Now here I'm going to place this in a try catch block. If that abstract method is not implemented on the activity, it will create an exception called the class cast exception. Class cast exception. Okay, here I am going to throw that exception, throw new class cast exception with a message. You need to implement that implement you need to implement that on attach, sorry, send data method. Send data method. If this abstract method is not implemented on the main activity, then we got this exception called class cast exception with this message. You need to implement send data method. Okay. So for now we have to catch the data from the first fragment layout. So here is the first fragment layout. There are two view component and edit text and button is present with ID, MSG and BN. So on the first fragment we need to create some object of button and edit text. Create an object of button and create an object of edit text, MSG. You need to import some packages. Okay. Now before returning this view we need to connect this object into the ID on the layout. So MSG is v dot find view by ID, r dot ID dot that edit text ID is MSG and cast it into edit text. Okay. Now we need to specify that button object bn is equal to v dot find view by id, r dot id dot that button object is bn, button id is bn. Now here you need to cast it into button. Okay. Now we have to create action listener for this button. So bn dot set on click listener, new view dot on click listener. You need to import some packages here. So whenever user enters some data on this edit text and click this button, then that message is sent to the second fragment. So here we need to catch that message from that edit text. So here I create a string variable, string message is equal to msg dot get text is convert into string. Okay, just catch that edit text message on this variable message. Now we have to pass this message into the first activity. So here we already got that object from the first activity sm. So by using that object sm dot send data and pass that variable message. Okay, now we successfully send message from the data from the first fragment to the main activity. So now we have to send the data from main activity to the second fragment. So on the second fragment we need some method for catching the data. So here I'm going to create a method called public void get data with a string argument, string message. Okay, so go to the main activity. Here we got the message from the, in this method we got the message from the first fragment. So here I am going to forward that message from the main activity to the second fragment. So we need to find the second fragment. So here I am going to create an object of second fragment. Second fragment f2 equal to, we have to use the get fragment manager dot find fragment by id dot id dot that second fragment id is f2. We have to check it out. Go to the first main activity layout file. Here is the second fragment. Here is the second fragment with id f2. So we have to specify this id. So go to the main activity. Here the id is f2. You can also convert one fragment to second fragment and cast it into second fragment. Okay, now we got the object of the second fragment. Now by using that object we can send the data from the main activity to the second fragment by using that method called get data and pass this argument as message. Okay, now we just pass the data from the second main activity to the second fragment. Here we can find out the second fragment using the get fragment manager and dot find fragment by id. It is not possible to pass data from the main activity to the second fragment by just creating an object of it. Is also possible to create an object of the second fragment here. So by using a simple object, it is not possible to pass data from an activity to a fragment. So you need to get the fragment by using the find fragment by id method using the get fragment manager. Okay, now on the second fragment, go to the second fragment class. Here we got the message. So on that second fragment class file, second fragment layout, we create a text view with id txt. So here I'm going to create an object of text view txt. So before returning this view, I'm going to connect this id this object to the id v dot find view by id dot id dot that id is txt, cast it into text view. Okay, we need to import the text view package. Okay, so whenever the data is received on this method, I am going to assign the data into the text view. So txt dot set text message. Okay, now we complete the coding. Now we can check the project. So run as Android application. Okay, now the project is successfully launched. Here I am going to type a message. So whenever I type a message here and click this button, that message will appear here on the second fragment. So hello from fragment 1 and send data. Okay, here you can see that that sender data is available on the second fragment. Guys, this is how we communicate two fragments on the same activity, or how we send data from one fragment to another fragment hosted on the same activity. Please subscribe my channel now for getting more video updates. Thank you for watching. See you in the next part of this tutorial.